Alright, so hello gamers and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a bit of a more serious video. Please make sure to watch until the end so you can understand my thought process for this entire thing, what's going on right now in Phantom Forces, and yeah, after watching the video, please comment your opinions on this. I want to hear everybody's opinion because this is a pretty important topic. There are a lot of different, very controversial issues going on within the PF community, and in this video, I will be going over everything that I can and do not give any previous or current stylist devs any kind of hate because that's not really going to help fix the game. If you don't like the game or where it's headed, please give them criticism. Comment down below. Maybe they'll check the comments of this video, and please be constructive, because if you just say the game sucks, I hate the game, it's a bad game, it's not going to fix the problem. Let's just get into it. So the first thing that is probably the most important thing is the recent updates and upcoming updates to the game. These have been really probably some of the most controversial updates maybe ever. The reason for this is basically they are removing stuff. Yes, they're removing stuff, and the last update was pretty poorly implemented. So first off, you have the last update that the game really got. I made an entire video about it pretty recently. You've probably seen it. It did really good. It got like 30k views in a day, which is really cool, and I'm glad that a lot of people saw it, so that way a lot of people knew what happened. But basically, they nerfed M-sliding. They really bugged the game out in a lot of ways. It was completely unplayable for a lot of people. Basically, what they were doing is now the framework of the game is a lot more reworked. A lot of stuff that wasn't working correctly before is working correctly, and they're able to change the game in more meaningful ways without completely breaking the game. Because if you guys didn't know, Phantom Forces is a very old game with a lot of code written in like 2014, 2015, 2016 that isn't really up to standard now. That if they change the source code in a meaningful way, it could completely break the game, and they don't want that to happen, of course. So what they had to do to not break the game in the future is break the game now, and they definitely could have worked on it a little bit more before they pushed it to the main game. But credit to stylists where credit is due, because once that update came out, I made my video on it. Everybody was complaining about the update. They fixed it really quickly, and the game is working almost as well. I'm not gonna say perfectly, because there's still some pretty bad scoping with some of the sniper rifles and a lot of different bugs that were not there before. But it has been mostly fixed. You can play the game and everything is working mostly as intended. But then we have the upcoming update, and the upcoming update to the game has a lot of really cool new stuff. 2 new guns, but they're not really that big of new guns or anything, and some of the most hated balance changes of all time. If you want to have a really good game with good balancing, you got to be changing the balancing pretty much constantly, because everybody will find the most broken thing and abuse it. If you aren't changing the balancing of the game just gets worse, you know? There's something called power creep, where basically over time, as you add new things to a game, it starts to make older stuff irrelevant, and it makes everything new more and more broken, and that causes a lot of the older stuff to not really be that great. And it happens with a lot of games where you have to pay for new guns and stuff like that, and that is sometimes on purpose so people will buy the new guns. TF is not like that, because you can get every gun without really having to pay, except for the Boxy Buster, but that's completely a meme gun. However, there are some balance changes that are extremely questionable with the upcoming update. I made 2 videos on it if you want to see it. They came out in the last couple of days. They're both about 18-19 minute long videos, so if you don't really want to watch those, understandable, but that talks about all of these stuff. So if you want to know everything about the changes, go watch those. But suffice to say, they removed a lot of stuff. They're not just balancing changes, and some of the balancing changes were pretty weird. The TRG got completely nerfed. They nerfed the intervention again. But worst of all, they removed some of the conversions. And here's the thing, some of the conversions they removed were very good. Scarhammer 9mm was amazing. It was very popular though, and a lot of people liked it. So when they remove a conversion, you don't get your credits back. So if somebody just pre-bought a conversion and then they remove it, then they basically just lost thousands of credits in some cases, which is pretty bad if you're a low-ranked player and you don't have a lot of money in the game. But the thing about balancing is that if a conversion is broken, don't remove the conversion, because more conversions equals more content. If the conversion is redundant or too broken, change the conversion, make it less redundant and make it less broken. They could have done something completely different with 9mm on the hammer and made it its own interesting conversion. Give it awful min damage. I don't know, something to make it not as broken as it was. Don't remove it from the game. They removed a bunch of conversions as well. They removed the ECR 410 5.56 on the Colt SMG, but then they made it its own gun, which is stupid, because why would you have a new gun when you can just have a conversion that makes it into that gun? They also did that on the Glock 17. The Glock 17 had a 50 GI conversion, and then they made it into the Glock 50, which was kind of dumb. The Glock 50 is a cool gun and all, but it could have just been the conversion on the Glock 17. You didn't need a new gun. Maybe they'll revert that and keep those conversions in the game. Duplex binary kit is also going to be gone on the TCR, which is really dumb, because that conversion was so interesting. When it came out, I was like, I don't think it's very good. It was decent, but not great. And also, it was really fun. It was a really interesting and different conversion. And then they said, nah, we'll just remove it. That's super dumb. If you have a conversion that's broken, just nerf it. You can nerf it into the ground, but keep it in the game so people who want to use it can use it, and people who pre-bought it don't completely lose the conversion, you know what I'm saying? And some of the conversions that got removed, some of the stylist devs basically just told the people that were why did you remove this, that no nobody uses the conversion, but that's not true. There's at least one person who's probably using every conversion in this game at the moment. 410 on the ECR was kind of cool, and I really liked that conversion. They could have just nerfed it. It was like a little bit good, but like not super cracked or anything. Basically, the thinking for removing it was nobody uses it, but I used it sometimes. It was kind of cool. But next up, we need to talk about probably the biggest change for the future of Phantom Forces. This is actually what puts the game in danger. There was a developer named Willow who basically made all of the balancing changes and did a lot of the new content for Phantom Forces. Recently, they quit. They resigned. I don't really want to go into what happened there because first off, I have no idea. But like I said, don't go out of your way to like hate on anybody in this video. I don't want anybody witch hunting or trying to figure out what happened. Suffice to say that Willow quit. Okay, that's it. So that's actually a pretty big deal, right? Because the person who was doing basically all of the new content, at least for balancing and some of the new guns, basically is now no longer working with Stylus, which means that until Stylus finds a new person to do that stuff, if ever, I don't know if they're going to, we're not going to have any new balance changes, most likely. So that means that the version of the test place we have currently in the game might be the final version of the update, or that update will be delayed for a long time, or the update will never come out. And I don't think it will never come out, but that is kind of the nuclear option, I would say. And we'll have to see, because a lot of the changes are pretty controversial, and I don't know if anybody at Stylus is actually going to be rolling them back, because the person who could or was doing that at the time is no longer doing that because they quit. So that's going to be a pretty big change to the game. I really hope that Stylus does find a new person. They have done that before. Before, there was a person named Mar who basically did all the balancing changes, and that guy, well, I didn't really have a huge problem with him or anything. A lot of people did. I know he was super unpopular and did a lot of changes that people didn't really like. So changing to another person, because Willow wasn't really hated. I think most of the changes that Willow did were not super hated, and a lot of people just were fine with them. But now we're gonna see a complete shift in who's actually working on the changes, if anybody. The new person we get, if we do get a new one, is going to do different stuff and have different ideas. Maybe ideas that people don't align with their own. Yeah, I really hope it's a good person who understands the game. I would like to do the balancing for the game, but I don't know how to program at all, so please do not like try to hire me, Stylus. I understand the balancing of the game, but like I don't know how to actually implement it at all. And not having any changes to the game for an extra, I don't know, like few weeks, a month or something, isn't going to be that big of a problem. But the problem that we could have is if that takes a little bit longer than expected. If Stylus isn't able to find somebody to actually do a lot more of the balancing changes, we're not going to have as many changes or new stuff added to the game. There still might be some new stuff, but not quite as much, especially when it comes to new meta and new changes to conversions, and just overall rebalancing. You know, some of the rebalances have been really cool and have completely changed how guns work, which essentially is adding a new gun to the game. If you rework a conversion completely, a lot of people might not like having a conversion that they like be completely changed, but it basically is like adding a new gun to the game, you know? But we probably won't have that. So that's the overall update situation with PF at the moment. We really just have to see, like, only time will tell how much that escalates and how long we have before there will be a new kind of balancing type person in the game. I'm not sure on the jobs of everybody at Stylus, so I don't know how much other stuff will change. And backend stuff is really not going to be what keeps a game alive, you know? It's new content. New backend stuff is really good and should be added to a game, of course. If the game runs better, it's a better game. But it doesn't mean more people are going to stay because the game has a little bit less bugs, you know? Having a game with like 10 guns and not getting any new guns, even if that game is getting a lot of nice quality of life changes to bug fixes and stuff, people are going to get bored because there's not enough content there, like not enough stuff to play with, you know? But last up, we have to talk about the content creators for the game. PF has always had a pretty strong YouTube community and Twitch community full of people making videos on the game, talking about stuff, and it really has a second side to the community. There's the people like just in the game, and then you have the people making the videos on the game. New people will see the game because of people making videos, and it will just help people who are playing the game. Like my videos, you can watch one of my videos and understand like a conversion or something. That could help somebody actually like get into the game a little bit more. Something like, you know, a beginner's guide or something like that. People have always been quitting PF, but a lot of the massive channels recently are somewhat moving away from the game. In fact, Corny, who is like the second biggest YouTube content creator for the game for quite a while, basically just completely quit, completely shifted away from PF. Probably got bored of the game, to be honest, but like, smaller content creators have been quitting the game as well. But overall, we're seeing a little bit of a move away from PF from some people. Now, that isn't really like a massive deal or anything. I think YouTubers for the game probably overestimate how much of an impact they have on the game itself. I don't think I have a massive effect on the player base, but I would say that overall, all the YouTubers together might have a decent size impact on the player base, but not as big as people might expect. However, that is just one piece of the puzzle right now. People not liking the current updates, a dev quitting the game who's making a lot of the updates, and content creators quitting at one time is not really a great thing for a game, you know? If one of those things happened at a time, maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's just a lot of stuff happening at once. Dude, the AWS is so cracked. So is PF going to die? No, probably not. I mean, only time will tell, I guess. I don't think the game will completely stop getting updates, but I think that the current update that was almost ready, since it had such a controversial change in the test place and the person doing the changes also quit the game, I don't think that the update will really come out as soon. We'll have to see on that. I don't really directly contact anybody really at Stylus. The only person I directly contacted before was Willow. I haven't contacted them in quite a while, probably like a month or two. So I have no idea if the update is actually going to be released anytime soon. But like I said, only time will tell. Overall, I don't think the game will die, as I said, but like I said, only time will tell. I have really no idea. Even if the game didn't get an update for like 6 months, let's say, I'd say the community would get a little bit smaller. You'd probably lose, you know, half the players for that period of time. But if you released an update, I think a lot of the people would come back. But I can definitely tell you right now that when the game does get an update, the community is definitely strengthened for that period of time. People will watch my update videos and I'll have a lot more audience interaction because of a new update. So people do care about the updates in this game, you know? They're not going to just like quit suddenly because, you know, no updates, but they are going to want to play it more because of an update to the game. Like I said, comment down below your opinions on the situations going on in the game. But like I said, don't be mean to any content creators, staff, or anything like that. They were trying their best. There was some pretty, you know, missteps in terms of updates in a lot of people's opinion, but they're not trying to make the game worse on purpose. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, do check down below if you're subscribed, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Have a nice day. Wow, I just missed so much.